Welcome to the Explainer. All right, if you're gearing up for a system design interview, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we are going to break down one of the most fundamental concepts you absolutely need to know: caching.
So let's kick things off with a problem we have all felt. You click on something in an app, and you're just stuck, staring at a spinning wheel. It's frustrating, right? But have you ever really thought about what's causing that sluggishness behind the curtain? Okay, so what is the actual culprit here? Well, 9 times out of 10, that frustrating lag, that slowness, can be traced back to a single point of failure in the system: an overwhelmed database.
I mean, just picture it. You've got thousands, maybe millions of users, all trying to get data at the same time. Without a cache, every single one of those requests has to go all the way to the main database. It just can't keep up. It's like a 10-lane highway suddenly merging into a 1-lane road. Everything just grinds to a halt.
So how in the world do we fix this? Now your first thought might be, hey, let's just buy a bigger, more powerful database. But there's a much smarter, way more elegant solution, and it's a technique called caching.
So what is a cache? At the end of the day, it's just a small, super fast layer of storage that sits right between your user and your main database. Its whole job is to hold on to the data that people ask for all the time, so you don't have to make that long trip to the database every single time.
And this library analogy is just perfect. Think of your database like the entire vast collection of books in a huge library, way back in the stacks. Finding a specific one can take a little while. The cache, though, that's the small shelf right by the front desk with all the bestsellers and most popular reads. Grabbing a book from there is practically instant.
So what are we trying to achieve with this? Well, the goals are super straightforward but incredibly powerful. First, we slash latency. That's the time the user has to wait. Second, we take a huge amount of pressure off the database, letting it breathe. And when you do those two things, the result is a massive improvement in your system's overall performance.
Okay, so whenever our application goes looking for a piece of data, there are really only two things that can happen, two paths it can take. And understanding these two outcomes is absolutely crucial to understanding how caching works.
The whole flow is designed to be smart and efficient. It's a simple rule. The application always checks the fast place first, the cache. It only bothers going to the slow place, the database, if it absolutely has to.
Now, a cache hit. This is the golden ticket. This is what we want. It means the data the user was looking for was right there, waiting in our super fast cache. We can grab it and send it back almost instantly. This is what makes an app feel responsive and snappy.
But what if the data isn't there? Well, that's a cache miss, and it means we have to take that longer trip back to the main library to the database. But here's the really clever part. On the way back, we're smart. We grab that data, make a copy, and put it into the cache. Why? So the next person who asks for it gets a super fast cache hit.
All right, the theory makes sense, but how do we actually build this thing? You need the right tools for the job, and in the world of caching, you're going to hear about two major players all the time.
Think of these as specialists for two very different jobs. On one hand, you have in-memory caches like Redis, which are absolute speed demons for dynamic application data. And on the other, you have content delivery networks, or CDNs, which are custom-built to get big files like images and videos to users across the globe as quickly as possible.
And when it comes to in-memory caching, Redis is pretty much the king. The secret sauce? It lives and operates directly in your computer's RAM, which is just fundamentally faster than a database that has to read from a spinning disk. We're talking about response times measured in microseconds. It's incredibly fast.
And then there's the CDN. It's basically a web of mini caches, or servers, spread all over the planet. This is exactly how giants like Netflix or YouTube deliver high-quality video to you without all that buffering. If you're in Tokyo, you don't have to wait for the video to come from a server in California. You get it from a local server right there in Tokyo. That physical closeness makes a world of difference.
Okay, knowing the tools is one thing, but in that interview, they're going to want to know how you'd actually use them. So let's talk strategy. We'll start with the most common one you'll ever need to discuss.
By far, the most popular strategy is called cache aside. You might also hear it called lazy loading, and lazy is the perfect word. The system is lazy because it only bothers to put data into the cache when a user actually asks for it, and it's not there. The big upside to this is that you're only caching the data people are actively using, which is a really efficient way to use that fast, expensive cache memory.
Okay, let's bring this all home. This is the part that will help you ace that interview. We're going to translate everything we've just learned into exactly what you should say and what you should definitely avoid saying.
I'm not kidding, just burn this sentence into your brain. It is the perfect, clear one-liner that shows you immediately understand the why. You're not just throwing out a buzzword, you're explaining the business value, a faster experience for the user, and a healthier system overall.
Now, if you want to go from a good answer to a great answer, you drop this little nugget. Mentioning cache invalidation, which is the hard problem of making sure your cache data isn't old and out of date, shows the interviewer that you're thinking beyond the textbook. You're thinking about the real-world, messy challenges, and that's a huge plus.
And look, here are the common traps people fall into. Your interviewer might even poke at these to test your depth. The big one is saying, "I'll just cache everything." That's a rookie mistake. You have to be selective, and you absolutely need a plan for dealing with stale data. Nailing these points shows you really get it.
All right, so to wrap it all up, what do you really need to remember? Cache equals speed. For your application's data, your first thought should be Redis. For global files like images and video, it's a CDN. You put these tools to work and you end up with a system that's not just faster, but also way more scalable.
You know, people often say that caching is the low-hanging fruit of system performance. It's one of the most effective, highest-impact changes you can make. So once you've solved this major database bottleneck, you're now free to go hunt for the next challenge. So the question becomes, what are you going to optimize next?